Hello viewers, I'm Stanislav here today with Theo, and we're going to be discussing about the 2015 Range Rover with the supercharged V6 engine.
That's correct. So this particular model is what we call the L405. It is the next generation of the L322, which we looked at previously. And this being a 2015 would be the pre-facelift model, which they then did in 2018, and that just gives you some more trick lights, and in the interior there's a lower screen. But other than that, they're essentially the same car. And this car has been running in our family for about 4 years now, and through that time period I think it's safe to say that everyone in the family absolutely adores it. I think without question it is my parents' favorite car they've ever owned. In my young adult life, it's certainly my favorite car that I've ever had the experience to drive and live with.
And it's quite a step up from the Suburban.
It is, the 05 Suburban. Although I do miss that car quite a bit, this has been a worthy replacement. Much different car, of course, but it has fulfilled all the family needs. And to this point, what everybody's wondering about, I think if you're looking at this video, you want to know, is this a safe car to buy? And from our experience, I can tell you, yes, it is.
You have about, what, 80,000 on here?
This car has about, I think, closer to 90,000 miles, actually. I think about 88,000.
Any crazy issues, anything blow up?
The extent of the issues are just sensor related, essentially. So just the O2 sensor goes, I don't know, bad, or it's unhappy every once in a while. And every once in a while being right now, the check engine light is on for that reason. I think what worries me about this car in terms of reliability is that it is obviously, it's a more modern vehicle, so you have some more
sophisticated sensors,
technology, sensors and things like that can and will break. And along those lines, the rear tailgate, although there's nothing technically wrong with it, on occasion it does like to think that it isn't open, or it isn't closed, I should say. So if you close it with the button, it's an automatic system. It closes, and then when you go and get in the car, it goes meep meep, and it's an infuriating little noise. I think any Range Rover owner, that noise,
it's almost as traumatizing as the BMW chime.
Yes, in this particular case, it definitely is. But I mean, it is obviously closed, it just doesn't think it is. And according to the dealer, you just need to put WD-40 on it. I don't know how that would help it, but that's the only real thing aside from the O2 sensors. But other than that, the car has been an absolute joy to live with.
So something I want to mention real quick as a preface is that I'm not a JLR fanboy by any means. It's not...
Hater is what we call it.
I'm a little bit of a hater, but that's also because I've never been able to be up and close with pretty much any of their cars.
Well, you're a Toyota guy.
I'm a Toyota guy, you know. But, so yeah, I just kind of want to talk about what I feel and what I see when I am this close to one of these cars. Right off the bat, I could tell that this is definitely a more higher end car, just from how everything is put together. Panel gaps, uniform, I'd say.
Okay, good.
I love the...
Pass inspection.
Yes. I love the headlights on here. I like the attention to detail in here, because if you start thinking a little bit too much, you can kind of see where it's a little dated compared to something 10 years newer. But, I mean, this, again, is a 2015 car, so, you know, reframing it from that era, this looks pretty good, pretty solid.
This design was also introduced in 2013 in the United States, so...
Yeah, so from that time, this probably looked really, really sharp. And I think it's held up really well, like most Range Rovers do. Comparing this to the L322, this is definitely a little bit more modern looking. Obviously, it's newer, but they rounded off some of the sharp edges without giving it too much of a bubbly appearance. It still has that huge front windshield. The side profile is still big, meaty, muscular without being offensive.
You can still tell it's a Range Rover.
Exactly.
I think what you do lose with this generation from the previous is it's a little less boxy. It feels less like an off-roader and more like a typical modern luxury car. As we'll mention once we get to the drive, it feels a bit more enclosed, which is...
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I've noticed that it feels a little more enclosed, but it's still roomy inside. It still kind of feels like, not exactly royalty, but it feels like I'm in something pretty special.
It's a nice place to be. And I think if you're in the market for one of these, I would go for a lighter interior. I think this cream leather and the light colored headlining, it's just a really special, comfortable, relaxing place to be. Just have your little jazz music on. It's almost impossible to get angry in traffic. Well, depending who you are, I suppose. But it's just a really nice place to be.
I think it's time to go take this for a drive, and especially for me, see how it compares to the L322.
Absolutely. Select neutral for range change. I've never done this, neither has anybody that...
Oh, there we go. I felt it switch.
Oh, the hold is on. This is totally unnecessary, but HDC select gear drive would be necessary. Okay.
All right, so we have a locked diff at the moment, I believe. Oh, that is really neat. You get to see the articulation of the tires.
I've never done this before, neither.
Can you turn on your cameras?
I'm not sure.
Going down?
Yes.
Yo,
they're not very good quality, but...
It doesn't need to be. This is like enough.
This is what I'm concerned about, this one. Can we enlarge this?
Can we?
Curve view. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay, that is really neat stuff here.
Maybe let's record this on the cell phone.
Yes, sir.
I guarantee you no one who...
So here we are.
Whoever owned this car before definitely didn't do this, and we have never done this either. So let's just see. I'm trying to avoid this big bump here, going through the bushes.
How do you roll the... This is such an exciting time. Oh, you have the articulation. That is really cool here.
Through the shrubbery. There's the goat. That'll look cool. Okay. And out we come from that very minor slope. But for me, that was cool because I've always wanted to take a Range Rover anywhere but the city streets.
So we want to take it back to neutral.
We can turn that off, and we'll just put this back in auto. Automatic start stop off. And you're back to normal driving a luxury vehicle.
And away we go.
How about that? That was absolutely spectacular. I know we're going to get made fun of for that, but that was actually really cool.
It was very cool.
Because I've never used that system before. And it's funny actually because I thought I had it on when I was going up, but apparently I did not. So, I went up the hill without that on, which was fine.
I think there's something endearing about that because obviously I've not been in any car that's really this capable and just kind of...
Yeah, you do forget that it is actually capable.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, like...
That was nothing.
That was nothing. Where are we going? Straight?
We're going right.
Or no, right.
Yes, sir.
And then this will show you how the suspension fares on a bit of cobblestone. I think it does quite a good job.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth. And again, ride quality has a lot to do with the tire choice as well.
Yes, this car is running the Pirelli Scorpion Verdes, I believe, which is essentially the standard issue for Range Rovers or basically any modern SUV, like luxury SUV.
I like that you're able to have these cameras up
cool.
while you're driving.
Not many cars that can actually do that.
So here we are driving the 2015 Range Rover
Correct.
HSE with the supercharged V6 engine. Something I want to get off my chest real quick is I think this shifter situation here is adorable because you have this big car that is like this off-roady thing, and then you also remember that they're trying to cater to the luxury crowd for this. So when the car is off, it's a beautiful clean slate here. Everything is recessed. As soon as you press the engine start, go and it's like, at your service.
Yes, I also like that. I think where it differs from the facelifted version of this car, here you would have a screen where this the climate control stuff is. But I like this because you get your nice choice of wood, and it looks really nice and clean throughout.
Yeah, I agree, and I still like that this is the era, I'm assuming pre-facelift era, where there's still quite enough buttons in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like these fake buttons up here.
These capacitive things.
Yeah, they're better than a new capacitive touch. But
well, this infotainment, again, same with the L322, it's not its strongest point of the car. You can replace this with the newer one. I have seen people do that, but I don't know if it's really worth the hassle because I don't really use it
straight
that much. At least this car has Bluetooth as compared to the L322, so you can just have your own music on. Again, as we said, the camera situation is good enough. If we remember that this car is
10 years old.
Yeah, almost 10 years old. The design of the car is more than 10 years old. Talking about the engine configuration options in this car, you have the supercharged V6, which this one is. You have the supercharged V8, which I would avoid because it's just going to be way too bad on gas, and the charm of it is not going to be what you think. At least thinking about the L322's supercharged V8, it's just not. It's a fast car, but it's not worth the terrible gas mileage you get. With this car, the supercharged V6, it's actually surprisingly good. I
guess what, 17, 22?
Maybe a bit better than that.
Oh, nice. That's pretty much better than the Solara, which is...
Yeah, like right now it's about at half a tank and there's 188 miles of range. If we were in the L322, that would be like 80. So you get... But if I were to buy an L405 myself, I would see if I could find the turbo diesel, because then you just get, of course, better gas mileage, and the engines always sound like diesels anyway, and Range Rovers, they're not super...
You don't buy this car for the engine
exhaust.
Right,
you just want it to kind of go. So the ride, initially, before I got in the car today, I thought that the L322 was pretty much on par with this. Maybe honestly not even as good. But being in this car for a little bit today, I realized that is not the case. And this car is in fact it is a noticeable difference. I think it is noticeably better than an L322 in terms of ride. That could be down to tires, but the tires on the L322 are Michelin Defenders, which I've heard are pretty good for that vehicle, and they're pretty new too. So I'm just gonna say that this is the superior riding vehicle. That being said, though, it's not quite as good as I might have expected. Am I going left here? Okay. I think, growing up, when we had this Suburban, we would always say, my brothers and I would always be like, oh, Range Rover would be so much, like, you wouldn't even feel these bumps in a Range Rover. Having spent a lot of time in Range Rovers now, I can tell you that's not really true. They're not as good as,
people think.
Yeah.
But it's still not like demeaning it, it's still...
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a luxury vehicle that you want to be a soft riding car on the road, and it is, but it's not like a Bentley or a Rolls Royce or anything like that. Not that I would know, but I can just tell you that it's not going to blow you away.
This is also a pretty practical interior, maybe except for the fact that all this white leather is everywhere here, because again, this car is kind of aging a little bit. But it's held up pretty well. The materials feel good. Everything is soft touch where it needs to be. And everything is, it's laid out pretty sensibly.
Mm-hmm.
The infotainment stack is laid out sensibly. Yes, it's dated. Yes, it takes a little extra second for things to register.
It isn't the quickest thing in the world. Okay, I didn't want it to do that. So,
But it's typical of the era.
well, I just didn't want. I mean, it's not. It's slow, but it isn't.
It won't feel
It's
like an
not
iPhone.
It's not egregious.
Right.
It's good. It's fine.
Do you have ambient lighting in here?
There is ambient lighting in here, which is really nice. I do like that quite a bit. It's not going to show up now. It's not like a new Mercedes where it looks like a vodka
Chinese
bar.
buffet.
Yeah, it only comes on at night, but it is a nice little feature. Obviously, I'm pretty biased towards this car. I think it's fantastic, brilliant, amazing. But Stanislav here is a bit more of a skeptic when it comes to a JLR product. So I just want to hear some of what he has to say, and I think that'll really benefit the viewers.
Yeah, so again, I haven't experienced this car for very long. You know, most of my experience with Ranges are the previous generation, the L322. But, you know, this is a nice car. This is a nice car. It's a nice space to be in. I'm glad you haven't had any crazy reliability issues, you know, aside from the few, you know, sensors or whatever, the door latch, you know, not cooperating. Again, that alone, because of who I am, would scare me not to buy this car because it's something I don't want to deal with.
Right.
Ever.
And that's understandable.
But at the same time, you know, for what this car offers at this price point, especially when you start factoring in, you know, if you're looking for a new vehicle around 30K, you know, these cars go for around 30, 35K.
Less than that even.
Less than that even. You know, again, there are reasons, because there is a slight history of just like the little things breaking.
Right.
But
if I were to give any advice, I would say try to find one from a main dealer.
Something that's been looked after a little bit more, and you have at least that dealer connection.
Yeah, a good service history, of course.
But yeah, as far as, you know, my thoughts, I'm kind of liking how roomy it is. Theo here is about 6 foot-ish, right?
6'1" on it.
6'1" on a good day, and I'll round up an extra inch too, so I'm 6'3". And I could sit behind him where his seat is now pretty comfortably. I can even sit behind myself where my seat is right now comfortably as well. There's a lot of headroom in here, which I like, because all the cars I'm used to are a little tighter. But, you know, the sunroof is, you know, beautiful, and I could definitely foresee myself throwing, you know, some 2-3 bicycles in the trunk back here. I do like its capabilities. I think all this stuff here is just really neat.
It is neat.
And it's hard to find something that offers all this for this price point.
Right.
New or old, you know.
Let's try to think about, like, maybe you can tell us in the comments, what car for around, let's say 25 to 30,000 would you rather have that is similarly capable? I'm curious to hear because... Okay, enough with the jokes. Yeah, not a Wrangler. I guess we're gonna. For myself, most of my automotive experience has come from a 2005 Chevrolet Suburban, and that car never, ever in its life worked properly. There was always something wrong with it, and towards the end of its life, where I kind of drove it a lot more because I had my license by then, you couldn't really drive it over 45 miles an hour or it would surely explode. The engine light would flash. So that's my background with cars. So this is like a walk in the park. This is absolutely perfect. But if you're somebody who comes from like a Toyota or something that is famed for its actual reliability, you should proceed with caution. That being said, I don't think it takes away anything from this car. Well, this particular vehicle has been fine. Aside from the minor things that I've mentioned, it's been absolutely fine. And with that, I will tell you, do what you want to do, but I am quite happy with JLR products and Range Rovers, and I will always have a Range Rover. I will never go anywhere in my life from here without owning a Range Rover. And with that,
thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys for watching.